It's always a pleasure to have Andrew Kida in studio, who, of course, of the Comanche City Administration. And
Good morning.
Good to see you, Andrew.
Yeah.
How are things in Camanche?
They're great. Everything's. We're looking forward to summer. I'm fairly confident that the river is going to crest today, and we're going to start seeing a decline. And we don't have any flooding happening yet. For folks to know, when we first realized a flooding issue out on 9th Street west of 67 over by Hazel Lake. If that starts to crest on the road, that's the first place that you'll see a road closure.
Okay.
Is before any flooding along the river happens.
Swan Slough is always an area too, isn't it?
It is, but that usually hits closer to 19 feet on a river crest. About 18 feet is where we start seeing something happening over at Hazel Lake.
But I imagine those folks who have lived in Swan Slough for some time, they're aware of what to do.
Well, they're all out there in the back bush going, it ain't flooding yet.
Splash Pad's going to be opening up soon.
It will. We'll open on Memorial Day, hook or crook. It doesn't take much for us to open it because we don't have to treat any water or do anything, just have to make sure everything's working. But we are having the company that came in and did the scoping of the sewer lines along Hiawatha and 14th Place where we had the sewer backup issues. They're going to come back and camera everything and jet if necessary. We'll get a good idea of what happened between last year and this year with the tree root infiltration. Mm-hmm. And, if all's clear, then we're good to go. And, I mean, they're going to jet it out and maybe do some root cutting, too, if necessary. So we're sending notices out to everybody all along that line to be aware, because when they jet, it can sometimes change pressure. And you may see the water, the sewer water that's in your drain pipes, your floor drains, you may see that suck out into the system, and then you won't have any trap of water in there. So you may get some gas smell in your house. So you'll want to just take a pitcher of water and pour that back down your floor drains.
Okay, very good. So how popular was it last summer?
Oh, gosh. It was every day. Even when it was cold, there were kids out there playing, and the water's, it's tap water, it's cold. They didn't care. They were out there playing, and we loved every bit of it.
Kids
it was
don't
such,
care.
Yeah. It really is. Some days I would go out there and have my lunch and just sit at the picnic table and listen to the kids play.
Well, that is good to hear.
Yeah.
Well drilling and water hookups, your next topic?
Yeah, sure. So, under the EPA directive about PFAS in our system, 3M was ordered to rectify the issue in Camanche's water supply. And they first did that by rebuilding well number 5, which is over by the elementary school. Okay. We had to put a more pumpable unit in there so it could pump more gallons, because that was our backup well. That was our emergency backup well. And we needed an electrical upgrade over there. So 3M paid for that. We used that as our primary source. The 2 shallow wells that are contaminated are ready to go in an emergency. We've only used them once, and that was when the pump at well 5 was being replaced, because we had no pumping when the pump is being replaced. So that lasted a few days, and we notified everybody, hey, this is going to be going on. PFAS contaminated water is going into the system. Use your own caution. So ever since then, we have not had to turn on wells 4 and 6. They've sat dormant. But they're there, again, they're there in case of emergency. If something happens at well 5, we'll let everybody know, hey, PFAS wells are coming back online. Be cautious. We have drilled a pilot well for well 8 just to see to do a test to make sure the water's good. We drilled well 7. They went down 1,200 feet and found normal contaminants, but also found radium down there, which means a lot more treatment. The radiological factor of contamination in water creates a whole treatment system that gets expensive to run. We would have to hire more staffing to do that. So we've kind of stopped looking at well 7 as viable for now. They went to well 8, went down 1,200 feet, kind of found the same thing, but they tested all the way down. So at 900 feet, the radiological factor goes away. So having 2 items on there is much easier to treat. Doesn't take as much work, and it's just normal stuff, calcium and salt, and it's not that it's normal.
Okay.
So we're going to look at we're going to start working on well 8 to drill a permanent well, and go at 900 feet. But 3M still owes us a third well. We're going to go back to well 7, go test at 900 feet. You got to fill that back up to the 900 feet level, and then start testing the water there. And if that tests good, then we will utilize well 7 and build the well houses, and then we'll be done.
Who does all that drilling and testing in that for?
Well, we use a company called, we put it out for a competitive bid. We're required to do that by state law. And we use a company out of Illinois called Gingrich. And they were the only ones who bid the first project. There are not a lot of companies out there drilling wells. It's very difficult work and very expensive. And this is the thing I want folks in Camanche to understand is if we were required to do that, if the EPA directed us to drill new wells because we couldn't use the PFAS contaminated water, or we were ordered to put in a filtration system to filter out the PFAS in the shallow wells, which is also very expensive and long-term maintenance, then we would have had to do that at our expense. And drilling wells is very risky, as we found out with well 7. You got down there where you thought you're going to be all good because it's the same distance, the same depth as well 5, which tests good. Turns out that location, that's no good. Same aquifer. I don't know what happened because I can't be down there to see. It's very risky work, and cities have to invest that money. Well 7 was a $2.25 million drill.
Wow.
So that would have fallen upon the users of the supply in the city to pay. And you could have drilled all the way down there and found out that's no good.
Crazy.
So it's risky. So one of the other things that 3M has done, because they were required to also within a 3-mile radius of the plant in Cordova, for people that are on private wells, even in the city of Camanche, to give them or supply them with a filtration system. And that's people who have them understand now that's it's a lot of equipment and it's very expensive. You got to treat it. You got to replace those filters every so often. And 3M was only going to pay for that for 5 years. After that, it was going to become the responsibility of the homeowner. It's a lot of expense. What I convinced them to do is previously, years ago, ACC, GCC had to deal with the plume, the contamination plume, and they were ordered by the EPA to install the water line that goes out 9th Street and that water tower off the bypass. And they were also required to hook up each individual house that wanted to hook up to it at their expense to city water. And they gave them a cash award, too, for having to pay the water bill for however many years. So I suggested to 3M, I said, hey, instead of giving these people all these filtration systems and this financial obligation later on in life, why don't you guys just pay to hook them up to city water? And they did. They were like, that sounds like a great idea. I'm like, here we have the model for the whole thing. Just use this. So it took a little while to get going because, I always say that we move at the speed of government. 3M, God bless them, they move at the speed of government too. But it's a big corporation. They got all their legal things they have to do, and I greatly appreciate their efforts. But now they've gone to the people in Camanche where there's water supply that they that they don't have to provide filtration to, but they're on private wells, and they're saying, hey, we'll hook you up too. So I think we're up to 40 households that were on private wells in Camanche that have PFAS contamination in it that they're going to be hooked up to city water.
Well, that's great news for those folks, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Visiting with Andrew Kida before we take a break for the weather, upcoming street projects.
Yeah, we're going to be working on, everybody knows up on 15th Place on the northwest corner, the avenues that go up, there's, when you get, it crowns really heavy on those, there's 3 intersections there, and on 16th Place, or 15th Place that goes by, there's these grooves, these ruts on either side that's for stormwater steering to get the stormwater to go out towards the floodplain, which is over towards the bypass. Well, they are like speed humps. If you're doing 30 miles an hour over there, you're going to Dukes of Hazzard over those things, right? They are technically speed humps, or speed tables is what they look like. We're going to try and alleviate some of that so people's vehicles aren't bottoming out over there. It really, I mean, I got to come to a crawl at those things because I like my muffler where it is. So we're going to work on that. We have a couple of other smaller street things that we want to do this summer. This upcoming fiscal year, and we're preparing for next year, which will be Second Street from one end of town to the other, getting that whole thing redone. But what we're looking at is what infrastructure under the ground also needs to be replaced. There's water and sanitary sewer down there that is probably super old. So, and what people need to understand too is every time you resurface a street, you'll see it within 2 years, there's a patch. It's because the heavy equipment going over old infrastructure like water and sewer connections vibrates and shakes and cracks, and now you got a water leak. So you have to dig up the street, the brand new street you just laid. It happens all the time. Yeah. So the goal is, if we can replace all of the infrastructure underground and then repave the street, proper sub-base, and pave it nice, you shouldn't have to see any of those patches along the way.
Always want to do the job properly the first time.
That is one of the things we preach. If you're going to do it right and do it well, and spend the money. I hope one thing I've been able to bring to the table in Camanche is we try not to do things on the cheap. When you do things on the cheap, you end up in a bad way later on, and it never pays off.
Visiting with Andrew Kida, we'll have more. A check of the weather brought to you by S. Kelly's Designs.
Happy Thursday. It's going to be another nice day today as we're going to see partly cloudy conditions as we head into the afternoon. Breezy conditions as well, as those gusts will get as high as 30 miles per hour. Highs will be in the low to mid 80s. There is still a chance for some showers and thunderstorms later on this evening, but it does look like it's going to lose a lot of energy by the time it arrives. I'm Storm Track 8 meteorologist Morgan Strackbein.
Thank you, Morgan. Sunshine, 70 degrees. Our update brought to you by S. Kelly's Designs.
Looking for the perfect gift for graduation, weddings, bachelor, or bachelorette parties? Visit S. Kelly's Designs at 242 6th Avenue South in Clinton. They specialize in creating one-of-a-kind, custom-made gifts that wow. Want a personalized t-shirt, hat, cap, koozie, or shirt? They've got you covered. Whether it's for a special occasion or just because, S. Kelly's Designs makes your ideas come to life with quality and style. S. Kelly's Designs, 242 6th Avenue South, Clinton. Follow them on Facebook.
On today's FYI, in studio with us, Andrew Kida. He is the Camanche City Administrator. Town Hall topics, one of your topics.
Yes, sir. City Council last year during my review tasked me with holding town hall meetings, just informative things for citizens to come and get an understanding of things that are going on or to hear their feedback. So we try and pick topics for it because, I, for one, like to know what we're talking about before I go into a meeting and not just have it be a free-for-all. But what I want to do, what we've done in the past is we've encouraged citizens to call in or email, contact City Hall, and make recommendations for town hall topics. We've had 3 of them, and they've been very good, very well received. Not a lot of people attending them. I would love for more people to attend. One of my goals always is to help people understand how things work. Or I always find that if people can understand why things are the way they are, it's much easier to get them to understand what's going on. If they don't understand the why behind something, things don't necessarily make sense to them, so then it becomes difficult to move forward. Mm-hmm. So the goal is to help people understand why things are happening and what's coming up. But we encourage people to submit ideas for town hall topics, and out of the 3 meetings we've had, only one person submitted a topic, and that was the one we chose for the last town hall. So encourage people. I think I'm going to try and schedule one for mid to late May, and welcome people to contact City Hall. You can contact me by email from the website, or call City Hall, or just stop in and say, hey, here's an idea for a topic I think I'd like to hear, and we're happy to have those discussions.
As city administrator, what topics would you like to see them submit?
Well, we've already covered budget and revenue sources and talked about debt, which is a discussion that turned into the library project. I gave my presentation about 7 minutes on debt, how debt works for a city, and then it became 45 minutes of what is the deal with the library ballot initiative. So, and that's fine. I don't mind if they take a turn. I kind of figured that that's what would happen at that time, and that's all right. So we've covered a lot of those things. If people want to cover those things again, we just did we approved our budget for next fiscal year, and council was really involved this time. In previous years, they haven't been so involved. This group asked a lot of questions, and we got them a lot more detail because they were inquisitive, and I appreciate that. So our tax levy, although the levy dropped because of the valuation increase, our revenue sources increased 1.3%, which is pretty modest compared to what other cities have been doing. And we're very proud of that. Of course, nobody, it was great. Nobody came to object to the 1.3% interest, 1.3% increase, but then nobody also showed up and said, hey, great job. But I say great job to my council members and my staff. They did a fantastic job. So, we've got a lot of things on the capital improvement plan. And one of the things that may be a good discussion is what else is out there on the capital improvement plan, because the library project was the council's #1 priority for the capital improvement plan, to get that out there because of the timing of the debt falling off and the new debt coming on. It would be a wash, and it made sense to do that for that timing. And now that the citizens have decided they don't want that, it'll be up to the council to say what next on the capital improvement plan are we going to do, because next year that debt is falling off. So the impact to the citizens overall on that debt is not a great dollar amount compared to what you get for that. There's a lot of other things on a capital improvement plan. So I'd like to cover the capital improvement plan. What else is coming up to encourage council to get the citizens to support the council for what they've determined are priorities in the capital improvement plan?
Again, visiting with Andrew Kida. How are things going with Fairway coming to Camanche?
Well, we've got the signed development agreement. We're all ready to go, and they'll be ready to break ground here in a couple of years. So that's a done deal. Everything's signed. We're super excited for them and super excited to have them in the community.
Yeah, same location then?
Yep, same location, and they own the land. That's recorded now. Okay. So, if you see it being planted, that's because Fairway still likes to make some money, and they'll cash rent the land, and that's what a lot of places do when they own land. Even cities, I know the city of Clinton, we don't own any farmland ourselves, but the city of Clinton owns farmland, and they cash rent it. Lots of cities do that because they're holding that land for future development, and that's just another revenue source for the municipalities to earn money. And same thing for Fairway; they're going to probably earn some money by cash renting that land.
Another issue, of course, down in Camanche is about the railroad crossing.
Sure.
How's that going?
Well,
or not going?
First of all, we can address the blockages that have happened in the last couple of weeks. Both of them involved engine malfunctions. The first one, all of the vehicular crossings for civilians, for citizens, were blocked for an hour and 40 minutes, I think. I was at a conference. I got the call, hey, text message, what's going on with the blockings? I'm like, what are you talking about? So as soon as I found out, I contacted CPKC because I have contacts with them, and they at least let us know what was going on, but it was a blown airline, and they had to fix it. They couldn't move it without fixing it. If it were a real emergency where emergency vehicles needed to go over there, they would have decoupled the train at a crossing to get emergency vehicles across. But that wasn't necessary. And what we also knew on that crossing, our police chief, Chief Schmitz, he went over, there's a crossing on Artco's property that's just for the port. That was open. So our emergency services staff all knew that if we needed to get over to that side of the city with emergency vehicles for whatever emergency it was, that we were able to get over there and provide those services for people.
Would this be something that a private citizen would be able to access? I mean,
No.
No. Okay, so
No.
they would be stuck.
Yes, they were stuck for an hour and 40 minutes. There was another breakdown of a similar nature on a train. All crossings except for 4th Avenue were blocked. There was still some access for people that way. So that it just becomes, at that point, it becomes an inconvenience.
How many total intersections are there, Andrew? I mean, just a ballpark.
Crossings?
Yeah.
We have 5.
5 of them? Okay.
5. We have Park Drive, but that's really just for Swan Slough. But you have 3rd Street, 13th Avenue, 9th Avenue, 7th Avenue, and 4th Avenue.
And I know there was talk about putting the overpass in, but
Yeah.
we were talking before we went on air. That would be quite an undertaking to do something like that.
Yeah, so there were a lot of different ideas. There was a feasibility study proposed. Council approved it. The mayor vetoed it. It was $61,000. And it came back up. They asked to reconsider it in lieu of the veto, and that failed to pass. It needed a supermajority and only got 3 votes to pass. So the veto stood, and the study doesn't happen. What we do know, though, is, I mean, because people are saying, well, why can't we just get one for UTVs? Okay, you're still going to have to build an overpass, and it's going to cost you similar money. Why would you do that instead of doing something else? And even if you did that, you have to have, I think it's 36 feet of clearance over the tracks, because the trains are stacked double high. So to get the proper grade for anything, you'd have to go a long ways out. Yeah. So if it were going to be, let's just assume it were going to be a vehicular overpass. If it's one lane, one way, the other way, it doesn't matter. It's going to cost you the same. Right? They're not going to build it any differently because of 1 lane versus 2 lane. So why wouldn't you just do 2 lane? And if you could, you're probably going to have to go back at least 3 blocks in each direction, maybe 4. Yeah. So think of all of those.
Would you be going all the way back to like Washington Boulevard or past that?
Pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close. So if you can imagine that happening, even on one of the closed crossings, let's just say 5th Avenue for the sake of argument, because that's closed, you'd have to have that high overpass blocking the front of all of the houses along 5th Avenue, from the train tracks to the river and train tracks up near Washington Boulevard. You'd have to change those people's access, and their front window now, instead of seeing their neighbors across the road, are seeing an overpass. So this is a bit problematic, and I think if you went to a double lane, I think the general consensus was if you built a double lane overpass, you'd have to widen it, and you may have to take some properties via eminent domain. And I know the mayor did not have the appetite to engage in that kind of concept. And his point, accurate, I think, is if you do have to eminent domain, you're required to pay people the market value of that property, but then you're also required to relocate them. And we don't have a whole lot of homes available in Camanche, so you're essentially evicting homeowners from Camanche. They're going to have to go live somewhere else. And I don't think that was a palatable meal for the mayor to engage in. So, that is what it is. So, we continue to face our challenges. We're working on a camera system to at least have cameras that feed to public safety, so we have the ability to see them before fire goes out or before police department goes out, and if they do notice that crossings are blocked, they can inform City Hall, and we can utilize our communication systems via Facebook and text message, and our website, which is getting redesigned, by the way. We should be having that launch out coming here soon. We'll be able to communicate to people what crossings are closed and when, and they can at least make that determination on when they need to leave or what direction they need to go when they leave their house from that side of the tracks.
Always interesting to have you in studio. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew.
Showboat.
Oh, the show. We got 30 seconds. What about the show?
I'm playing Arvide Abernathy in
What?
the showboat for Guys and Dolls. I got cast in that. Yep, I'm in it, and I'm looking forward to returning to the stage. It takes a lot to call me out of retirement, and Guys and Dolls is one of them.
Guys and Dolls, we'll look for you.
Thanks.